This is QTV News. I am Mudu Gajaga and we are coming to you live from our studios along Karaba Avenue. Thank you for joining us. First, here are the main local, international and sports news headlines. A high-powered Sierra Leonean ministerial delegation on Thursday praised the Gambian entrepreneur and chairman of the Q Group, Mohamed Jah, for contributing to the advancement of the sub-region through his investments. After Wednesday's judgment that convicted Yankuba Toure of murder and sentenced to death, there emerged questions over the implications of the death sentence, such as what it means giving an existing moratorium on the death penalty in the Gambia. Following last week's devastating windstorm that affected all regions of the country, the Gambia Red Cross Society is to distribute $13 million emergency relief fund it has received to support affected families. In international news, today the 15th of July is World Youth Skills Day, set aside by the UN to reflect on the need to have more young people equipped with skills. And in sports news, 4 Gambian athletes will compete in the athletics, judo and swimming events in this year's Tokyo Olympics. Those were the main news headlines, and now the news in detail. Thank you for joining us. Wherever you are watching us from, a warm welcome. This is QTV News. A high-powered Sierra Leonean ministerial delegation on Thursday praised the Gambian entrepreneur and chairman of the Q Group, Mohamed Jah, for contributing to the advancement of the sub-region through his huge investments. The delegation is on a visit to the Gambia to consolidate cooperation between the Gambia and Sierra Leone. Aliou Cisse has the rest of the details.
The delegations first visited the QCell head office along Kairaba Avenue, where Mohamed Jah, chairman of the Q Group, welcomed the delegation before taking them on a tour of the various QCell offices. He informed them that QCell is a Gambian-owned telecommunication company that began operation in 2009 and was the first to launch 3G and 4G mobile internet service in the country. The delegation was told that QCell provides nationwide coverage and constantly upgrading and expanding its network. The fundamental principles of Q Group are discipline, honesty, and hard work. The delegation also visited QTV Gambia, the country's first private television, whose head of news department, Ade Drame, is a Gambian Sierra Leonean. The delegation also visited Q Radio. They were taken to different studios and guided through the different programs of the TV on arguably the most-watched local TV station. From QTV, the delegation visited Espas Motors, an auto sale and service arm of Q Group. Espas Motors is the authorized exclusive dealer for Mercedes-Benz, Ford, Great Wall, and Chery, among others in the Gambia. As an auto service center, Espas provides after-sale service for all motors they sell, as well as for individuals and institutions. The visit wrapped up at Q City, a multi-million-dollar facility, the Gambia's first multi-purpose recreation center that offers activities for children and adults of all ages. Q City is fully equipped with world-standard facilities. It has been widely described as the perfect and most secure facility for relaxation and sporting activities. The chairman of the Q Group, Mohamed Jah, has long existing ties with Sierra Leone, not just as a former student of Furebe College at Sierra Leone, the oldest Western-style university in sub-Saharan Africa, but for his multi-million-dollar investment in Sierra Leone through QCell Sierra Leone. In 2017, QCell Gambia, a telecommunications operator, set out to expand to Sierra Leone to introduce some healthy competition in the sector. Many observers and players in the Sierra Leone's mobile business market did not believe QCell stood a chance in what was a market dominated by 2 major players. But in less than 3 years of operation in Sierra Leone, QCell Sierra Leone is now one of the biggest GSM operators in Sierra Leone. With the philosophy QCell Salon Pride, the telecommunications giant is the only African-owned operator in Sierra Leone at the moment. Mohamed Jah, chairman of the Q Group, said he is honored by the visit of the Sierra Leone's ministerial delegation. Widely known for his entrepreneurial work and humanitarian service, the Q Group is the fastest growing and most dynamic group of companies.
The best of the knowledge I have today, I got it from Sierra Leone. So I felt from the beginning that I have to do whatever I'm doing in Gambia, we should also do it in Sierra Leone. So we as a group have started with QCell, and very soon Q Money will start operation in Sierra Leone. And of course, we're looking at taking the bank Ajib. We're also looking at taking Espas Moto, and Naturel, and all the other companies within the group. We believe that Sierra Leone has potential, is a virgin market, and it's a very peaceful country, and his people of Sierra Leone are extremely nice, and we believe that we should be able to do more, really.
Mamadi Gobe Kamara, Deputy Information Minister for Sierra Leone, on behalf of the delegation, was proud of the huge investment by Jah as he praises him for expanding to Sierra Leone.
He has a business in Sierra Leone that is doing quite well, being the latest player in the telecom space, but he has really been taking over. He's been doing quite a good job, back out in Freetown, Sierra Leone, and we will continue to support him as a government because we believe that's the right way to go. We want to open the space for good investors. We call on people to come to Freetown, to Sierra Leone to invest, but we look out for very good investors like him. He has been a very good example of a good investor.
The delegation was hosted to a lunch organized by the Q Group at Q City in Bigilo. Other companies of the Q Group are QIT, Samsung, Q Money, and Ajib. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cissé.
Now, after Wednesday's judgment that convicted Yankuba Toure of murder and sentenced to death, there emerge questions over the implications of the death sentence, such as what it means giving an existing moratorium on death penalty in the country. QTV's Mamadou Lamin Choi has been finding out, and this is his report.
The convict Yankuba Toure is hereby sentenced to death, and pursuant to Section 252 of the Criminal Procedure Code, the said sentence of death shall be by hanging.
The murder conviction and death sentence of Yankuba Toure as a matter of public interest has elicited divergent opinion from the public. Lawyer Lamines Camara gives us his point of view on what the law says about the implementation of the death penalty.
There is a moratorium, yes, but remember that the president has the final prerogative to sign the death warrant on the execution of the penalty. So the president can refuse to do that. He can decline to sign it, in which case the convict will be in mile 2 forever.
Though the Gambia had ratified the second optional protocol to the International Convention for Civil and Political Rights in 2018 during the 72nd General Assembly of the United Nations, the death penalty has not been abolished.
The law still, and under the laws of the Gambia, that is the criminal code as well as the constitution, the death penalty still is a proper verdict. But the application of the death penalty, that is the execution of the death penalty, the judgment is what has been abated for now by virtue of the moratorium. This moratorium is not from the Constitution. We need to be very clear here. The Constitution in Section 18 has a moratorium, but that has already elapsed. That is 10 years from within the coming into force of the Constitution. The National Assembly ought to have reviewed the desirability or otherwise of the implementation of the death penalty, but that did not happen.
Yankuba Toure, who is now a convict serving a sentence, may file an appeal within 10 days since the judgment was delivered, and can file appeals from the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court of the Gambia. Between independence in 1965 and the initial abolition in 1993, only one execution, that of Mustafa Danso, who shot and killed the deputy commander of the paramilitary field force of the country, was carried out in 1981. In April 1993, during the First Republic, the death penalty was abolished, but reinstated in 1995 following a military takeover by the AFPRC. However, the 1997 Constitution came into force with a 10-year moratorium until 2012 when it ended. A day after the expiration of this moratorium came the infamous execution of 9 death row inmates, which former President Yahya Jammeh claimed to have been motivated by a spike in violent crimes.
What we need to do is we need to sensitize people on the non-desirability of the death penalty in our law books, because it doesn't help. We still have it in our books, but look at it, we still have incidences of murder all over the place. Imagine how many people have been killed from January to now in this country, and sometimes in the most brutal or gruesome of ways.
And what does Yankuba Toure's trial and conviction mean for Alhaji Kanye, a key state witness and a self-confessed accomplice in the murder of Ousmane Koro Ceesay during the trial?
I don't think anything will happen to Alhaji Kanye because he's already testified. He must have, and I'm saying this deliberately, he must have had a deal with the state probably, come and testify for us, because there must be a qui pro quo. Testify for us, give us the evidence that we need so we convict Yankuba Toure, and then we let go of you. So Alhaji Kanye cannot now be charged for this offense. It's not likely. It's almost impossible.
The road to justice can be a rough and a complex one. Following Yankuba Toure's conviction, Time will tell what the future holds along the long journey towards justice for the killing of former Finance Minister Ousmane Koro Cisse. Mohamed Lamin Chai, QTV News.
Following last week's devastating windstorm that affected all regions of the country, the Gambia Red Cross Society on Thursday held a press briefing on the progress made and the strategies to be adopted for the distribution of $13 million emergency relief fund it has received to support affected families. Abibatu Cisse reports.
According to Alassane Senghor, the Secretary General of the Gambia Red Cross Society, the $13 million relief support was secured from the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies to support windstorm victims. The windstorm caused 11 deaths and has affected 192 communities, 1,721 households, and displaced 29,192 people. Mr. Senghor added, the funds will be distributed to the 500 most vulnerable households across the country.
For example, there are a number of female-headed households, and those for us, and where you have small children, lactating mothers, and people who are sick, bedridden or something. So those are the criteria we will use. Then look at what is already done by government so that we don't give people twice. They don't get from government and then they get from the Red Cross.
Mr. Senghor further discloses that the Gambia Red Cross Society will be using unconditional mobile money cash transfer as a medium of fund distribution and explains why they adopted this system.
It's more accountable in terms of transparency because it's direct, that goes from our bank account through the mobile money system to the individuals, and it's traceable. And then the most important thing is the cost efficiency. Like I said, if we were to start buying corrugates and run palms and nails and the time it takes, and also the investment in terms of how much of that money reaches the people that need it. Some of it will be wasted through the administrative procedures. So that's why we have chosen this medium.
Mr. Senghor clarified that the relief support excludes schools and other institutions that have also been affected by the storm.
I think our priority is basically to get people back to their houses because the urgent thing is it's a rainy season and people sleeping outside is not the best thing. So that would be our priority. Secondly, in a village where you have the whole or 90 or even 100% destruction, like I said before, you have vulnerable among the vulnerable. You have the most vulnerable, and that's why I used the most vulnerable. And we have a yardstick here. We are talking about some of the vulnerable household, female-headed household. We know very well. If you have a woman with a family alone and kids, to build a house, that person is more vulnerable where you have a husband and a wife and kids. So that's the way we prioritize.
The Gambia Red Cross Society has been providing assistance to victims since the windstorm started, deployed teams to the affected areas to assess the damage caused by the windstorm. In addition, the society has provided vulnerable families with sleeping mats, blankets, bed sheets, hygiene and sanitary materials. For QTV News, I am Abibatu Cisse.
From that story by Abibatu Cisse, we will now go for a short commercial break, and when we return, we still have international news and sports news stories for you.
The best product in town is back. QCell's MiFi router. Get the best MiFi in the country for just $2,800 and connect up to 15 users with 4G internet speeds and a long-lasting battery life. So rush now to any of our customer care locations and get the best for less while stocks last. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Boss, the Gambia's quality network. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, this is QTV News. As the feast of Eid al-Adha, locally known as Tobaski, approaches, Muslims in the Gambia are in a rush to buy their sacrificial lamb. Some of our reporters went round the weekly markets, commonly known as Lumos, to assess the situation. Alhaji A.F. Jallo reports.
Tobaski, the feast of sacrifice, is the most important feast in the Muslim calendar. It honors the willingness of Ibrahim to sacrifice his son Ismail as an act of obedience to God's command. Before Ibrahim could sacrifice his son, however, Allah provided a lamb to sacrifice instead. In observance of this day, Muslims visit weekly markets commonly known as Lumos to buy their rams. During our visit to Sarenga weekly market, we spoke to different people to assess the market situation. A dealer, Alajiba, said, situation of ram sales this year is dire compared to last year amidst COVID-19.
Andi salary hika sefa o hedala si ono yari ni dum medani yarude. Sabone do jojo be do njeya sefa 470 ha 475. Salary rawani ko hedde temen nay wala temen nay henog.
This year, the rate of CFA to the dalasi is so high, which has never happened. At the moment, the selling price for the 5,000 CFA is $475. This is exorbitant comparing it with the price last year. There is no control in the foreign exchange business. Dealers randomly quote their price. There is no price margin. This had made business so difficult for us because 80% of the rams come from Senegal. Secondly, the COVID-19 has also impacted greatly in our business. You can see for yourself. The attendance is very low compared to past years. So government should come to the aid of herdsmen, provide them with animal drinking points, veterinary service and financial support, like the Senegalese government is doing for their herdsmen. Kausu Drame from the diaspora, who came to attend the feast, said, the exorbitant prices in the market are caused by middlemen.
The prices are too exorbitant comparatively to the previous years. But then that's normal. That's normal. But then what are the factors that contribute to that exorbitant price? One of the things that I observe is that there are too many middlemen. Animal owners are standing, just playing a role behind the scene. They hand over their animals, ruminants, to middlemen. Another middleman will hand it over to another middleman. So by the time the ruminant is sold or the animal is sold, the price increases over time.
At the market, we met up with a nurse who came to buy his ram. This is what he has to say.
I think now is the time people have to buy animals and rear. I think it's better because our neighboring countries also, whenever they didn't come here, always things are very tense. So Gambians also are just buying rams and sell it in very high prices. So it's better if everyone can have one and keep it for yourself. I think maybe the market will also come down.
This year's celebration has been greatly impacted by COVID-19. The most significant loss to families has come from small and medium-sized enterprise, which are the backbone of the economy. Informal workers rely on daily activity to sustain their families and are face restriction on their ability to work as lockdown measures are enforced. In spite of these challenges, Muslims are trying hard to ensure they get a ram in time for Tobaski. Reporting for QTV News, I am Alhaji A.F. Jallo.
After a week-long visit by and bilateral discussions with Matthew Mayer, the county executive of Newcastle, Delaware County in the United States of America, and Canifing Municipality, the success of the visit is evident by the fact 8 July will henceforth be known as Canifing Municipality Day in Newcastle, Delaware. Loli M. Camara has the rest of the story.
The visiting team conducted site visits to various places, including the Backwater Fish Market, the Baka Women's Garden and the Backwater Dump Site. Matt Meyer says the visit is important as it has given him first-hand information and an opportunity to also exchange ideas and look for solutions to some of the municipality's challenges. Mr. Meyer mentioned what some of these main ones faced by Canifing Municipal Council.
In the KMC, the challenges that you see are similar in many ways to the challenges we have in Newcastle County, but they're also different in many ways. A lot of the problems that you're seeing every day in your communities are some of the most difficult problems that exist anywhere in this republic, or in fact anywhere in the world. Problems of basic health care for children, problems of basic education, problems of basic transportation, problems of basic economic development, how to make sure mothers and grandmothers have food to feed their family. You ultimately address those problems, that's in your hands. That's ultimately in your hands. It's up to you to develop an ethical basis on which to run government.
The mayor of Kanifi Municipal Council, Talib Ahmed Bensouda, points out that the two municipalities have much in common and added that the visit by the county executive has enabled them to know each other better. Mayor Bensouda went on to say,
visits led to a rich exchange on a number of technical solutions to some of the most pressing challenges facing the residents of Kanifi. I am confident that during this stay, the Honorable County Executive came to understand why Kanifing is referred to the heartbeat of the Gambia, with its rich, vibrant culture and various economic activities.
Responding to a question, Mayor Bensouda said the two cities have not signed a twinning agreement yet, but several recommendations were made from the visit, which they intend to explore further, and spoke of possible areas of engagement.
We want to learn from them, and I think everybody in Gambia knows the #1 priority of Kanifing is waste management. Of course, also we want to do a lot in parks and recreation for the youths, and of course empowerment of women through markets and gardens where most of them are spending their time in. So we want to see collaboration in all areas, and frankly, any area we think we can learn from them or we can collaborate, we are more than happy to engage in that.
At the end of the press briefing, the county executive made this proclamation.
Now therefore be it resolved that I, as county executive, by virtue of the authority vested in me by over 560,000 Americans living in the first county of the first state of the United States, do hereby proclaim today Kanifing Municipal Council Day in Newcastle County. Wow.
A challenge coin was given to the mayor of KMC by Matt Maria to always remind him of the virtues of honesty, transparency, and efficiency in leadership. Challenge coins are an American tradition and are sometimes given in recognition of visits to an organization. There is every reason to believe this collaboration will endure. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Now to international news. Today, the 15th of July, is World Youth Skills Day, set aside by the United Nations to reflect on the need to have more young people equipped with skills to ensure they are independent. Jennifer Sonko reports.
The World Youth Skills Day occurs again as the world is still battling a pandemic, which has greatly affected young people's skills acquisition opportunities. Respondents to a survey of technical and vocational education and training institutions jointly collected by UNESCO, the International Labour Organization and the World Bank reported that distant learning had become the most common way of imparting skills, with considerable difficulties, including, among others, curricular adaptation, trainee and trainer preparedness, connectivity or assessment and certification processes. Youth unemployment is on the increase, which is the most significant problem facing today's economies and societies for developed and developing countries, and the Gambia is no exception, especially as it has a majority youth population. Studies have shown this is the biggest factor for irregular migration, including from the Gambia. According to the latest Global Trends for Youth 2020, Technology and the Future of Jobs since 2017, there has been an upward trend in the number of youths not in employment, education or training. Around 259 million young people in 2016 were classified as not in employment, education or training, and this number rose to an estimated 267 million in 2019, and it is said it will rise to around 273 million this year. In terms of percentage, the trend is slightly up from 21.7% in 2015 to 22.4% in 2020, and implying that the international target to reduce the not in employment, education or training rate has been missed. The youth population is expected to grow by more than 78 million between 2021 and 2030. Low-income countries will account for nearly half of that increase. The Gambia is classed as a low-income country. Looking at the statistics, there is a need to devise plans to ensure young people are provided with sustainable skill acquisition to ensure disasters such as the coronavirus don't affect them. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Bosonko.
That's it for the news, and thank you very much for watching. Do stay tuned for our upcoming programs, and don't forget to join us at 10 for another bulletin.